Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Extra Star Wars, a channel podcast dedicated to keeping it realer than the volume. We're a collection of Star Wars fans from different perspectives on life. Sean, the bookworm nerd, Mike, the cynic who shatters your rose-colored glasses, and Damien, our resident Andy, who brings passion to the show through the love of toy collecting. With our powers combined, we can bring you a truly unique Star Wars opinion. Love it or hate it, we're here to stay, just like the sequel trilogy. Now let's calculate the jump to another galaxy, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, everybody, to the show. We're glad you're here. This is episode 118 on September 4th, 2023. We welcome to the stream Damien. We welcome to the stream Mike.
Balin is a daddy.
Yes, he is. Balin is a daddy, and we are here for it. Thank you so much for joining us. We're a little late. We did find the map. We figured it out. All we had to do was turn it like a Rubik's Cube, and it was fine. It was fine. We couldn't figure it out after all the studying at the Jedi Temple and searching around like Cal Kestis. We just needed someone else to turn it for us, and then we were able to decipher the map. And then it was taken by droids. So we're here now, and we're glad you're with us. The chat has been on fire. Special shout outs to our early risers here. We got the Scarif Scuttlebutt in first with a compliment on the nice thumbnail. Appreciate you. Megan is here. We have Ambrose is geeky, new to chat. Thank you for being here. Luna Girl is here. As always, you are the best, and we are super excited to be here with you. 10-second check-in. Damien, how are you?
Good. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. The unofficial end of summer.
Yes, indeed. Mike, how are you? 10 seconds.
I'm exhausted. I don't feel like going back to work tomorrow.
Work stinks, but we're here to work for you tonight. And we're going to start off our show leading off with something we're going to go off a little sidebar here. And it is something that I noticed whilst watching the show. And we're not the first to notice this. Let's just be real. We are the last show that you're probably watching on the Ahsoka series, which means that I get to curate a lot of the different ideas on the Twitter/X/sphere or whatever. And I did notice it naturally, but then I started putzing around on X.com. I hate saying it like that. And people noticed it too. Yeah, X, yeah, that's a wrestling move. And did you notice the opening, the Star Wars, the new Star Wars Disney show intros with like the helmets, right? They're colored this time around, and I don't know if you noticed it, but we're going to do an early noticement because it has implications if you have not noticed it yet. Let's get right into it right now. All right, first off, it opens with Vader, red. Duh, of course. C-3PO, blue. I'm with it. Okay. Clone Trooper, blue. Questionable, but okay, well, we'll accept blue. An HK droid, red. 100%. Totally agree. Hu Yang, blue. I went out of order. I'm saving one for last. Hu Yang, blue. I'm with it. A stormtrooper. What do you think? Red, of course. How about Chopper? Blue. Okay. How about Marak? Blue. Sabine. Red. What's going on there? David, Mr. Filoni, what are you doing? What's happening? Who noticed this? Who agrees that this is hidden in plain sight? is Marok our hero? Now that started getting me down the lines of the who is Marok? That's big discourse on X, on X.com. And there's like potential clone things happening. And the best one I heard, because I can't take claim for it, but the best one I heard is that this is a clone of Kanan Jarrus brought back through the Night Sisters. And it's possible. And I'm not going to say it's impossible because it's possible, because that's very legendy sort of storylines, and that's cool. But who is it? And why is he blue? And is he the hero in plain sight? And will Sabine turn? I don't know. But it is super, super interesting that everything seemed pretty accurate. I will go based off the data, but Marok was blue and Sabine was red, and that means something. That's how we're going to start our show. What do you think about that, Mike?
I don't think it means anything. I
You
think
son
it's
of a bitch! I really hyped that up, and you know what?
Boom, roasted.
You know what?
Emotional damage.
Pissed off about that. I really wanted you to be on board with me.
I just think color. Like I get the whole connections with, red bad, blue good, but I don't see a Sabine heel turn.
It's intentional.
Coming.
It's intentional. This is Gene's guy all over again.
It's intentional for Filoni to mess with you and make you think it's something.
Oh, I'm falling right for it. I fell into the trap a long time ago. I love that. Damien, what do you think about the colors?
So I think there's something to it for sure. And just getting into episode 3, like a lot of callbacks to the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and that kind of stuff makes sense. And I think maybe they did kind of listen to the fan feedback about Ben Solo and Rey. This is going back and going to the sequel trilogy, and maybe thinking like a role reversal or hey, that would be a great idea if this happened instead of that. And maybe they're implementing that into this world, which would be weird to see if it was Sabine, but stuff that goes down, it kind of makes you wonder, is that what they're going for? And did they just kind of throw that out there to see if there's eagle-eyed viewers that would pay attention to it?
It's super curious. I always loved watching Lost because they had no social media back when it was on, for the most part. So there was no open discourse and people trying to figure out the theories, and that show would not have worked in today's world because it would have been impossible to keep the secret. But the secrets were kept during that time, and they created really great mystery. And this is a mystery, and I'm here for it. And we're here for part 3, and you're here for part 3, a short part 3. So let's take a look at our overall impressions. It's the same. I didn't change it. So overall impressions, quick one-hitters. Well, how did you feel? What did you think? For me, I came out of this episode very positive, very, very positive, almost to the point where post-sequel trilogy stories could be more amazing. That's where I'm at. I am really way seeking ahead and going, there was so much great information in this episode that we could carry something forward and it would be really great. And that's where I'm at. I'm really hyped up on this show right now. Am I at Mando level of hype right now? Maybe. Season 3 was a little downer, but I'm like at like mid-season 2 hype right now. Like, what's going on with this show? There's a lot of things happening, and I'm sure there's some drawing board stuff that you'll bring me down a peg or two, and that's totally fine. But for right now, I'm super duper hype about the show. I throw it to Damien.
This had a lot of exposition in it, and if it pays off in the future episodes, I think I'll look back on this and enjoy it more. But based off of like what we have with 1, 2 versus 3, it was kind of a downer for me. I do think though, if all the stuff that they were talking about and setting up and all that stuff pays off, and it's not just kind of an episode to have, back and forth and more Ahsoka, just to have Ahsoka and stuff like that, then I'll be happy if it pays off. But it was a little bit of a downer for me. I enjoyed it, but not as much as I enjoyed parts 1 and 2. or episodes 1 and 2.
That's fair. That's
or
fair.
Chapters 1 and 2.
Yeah, whatever it's called. Parts of 1, 2, maybe 3. Make it the same. Mandalorian, it's chapters, it's books of Boba Fett. It's now Ahsoka parts. What's going on? Mike.
I like Ahsoka parts.
I know you do.
That's why I'm here for the cake. Like both of you said, the implications of further down the line may kind of save the episode from an otherwise meh episode for me. There are just too many nods to different parts of different Star Wars movies, like the Purgle space chase. It seemed like the asteroid getaway from it was essentially the asteroid getaway from Empire. I feel like every show needs that the training in the blind scene, and it's all things that's been done. Even Sabine shooting down one of the fighters, and you got one, a la Luke, and it was just very meh for me. I have a prediction later on that I just came to my mind that could make this episode more important than I felt it is, but that just a very meh episode.
So is this the Pythagorean theorem of all episodes? It was very formulaic for you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very quadratic formula.
Very quick. Not quite trigonometry. This is basic algebra at this point.
Pretty much, okay. Yeah.
All right. I respect that. But hey, there's got to be some good things out there, right? We've got some overall impressions in the chat. A lot of people saying maybe it was a little too short of an episode. Maybe there's things happening like, Sabine not being a good shot. What happened with that? Maybe we'll talk about it in our drawing boards. But I can tell you, she didn't have her presets. I know when I pick up a foreign controller, I'm not as good, right, on the sticks than you might be on your sticks, and that's what I'm just saying. Let's give Sabine a little. She's been a crazy cat lady for 9 years now. She's got to get back on the sticks. Let's just give her a little time. All right, give her a little time to take care of her business, right? But there's definitely some top moments out there, and I'd like to talk about them, and we're going to talk about them right now as soon as I turn this off and turn this on. Top moments. I wrote down a few, and a lot of my top moments came from dialogue, lines that stuck with me, that I thought were super duper interesting. And if you have your top moments, go ahead and write them in the chat, and we'll see if we matchy up there. I like this idea right from the get-go. First off, Hu Yang stealing the show. This show is not called Ahsoka. This is called random robot from Rebels and Clone Wars steals Ahsoka's show and lets you know about it because it's standard operating procedure.
Protocol.
It is protocol. You come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi. Sabine to Ahsoka to Anakin to Obi-Wan to Qui-Gon. Couldn't be more true about that. What a line from Hu Yang, and I love that just because even she was like, "You got me. You're right." But I do like that Ahsoka's like, "I don't need her to be a Jedi, man. Stop it. We're not doing that. We're doing something a little different here," which I also appreciate, which also semi-answers the question of why isn't Luke involved in the training? Isn't he also doing Jedi stuff? Yes, he is. He's doing traditional stuff, like what he learned in the swamp of Dagobah by an old frog guy. Ahsoka, super cynical about the whole thing, right? She doesn't like what happened, and the white sabers and stuff like that. So she just has a different, dare I say, a different point of view on how it should happen, right? So for me, I love that. And I just love the idea that, for you, it might be formulaic, but I like that they bring in some of that connection pieces for us because it just, for me, makes this show a little bit more impactful when we mention those other things. Instead of being an individual show, No, we're going to kind of bring in some of this stuff. We're going to pad it out a little bit, but at the same time, for me, makes sense. Okay, Mike, how about you? Any top moments?
All the top moments that I feel the show wanted to be top moments felt like meh for me. Like the duel, the fighter battle, like the training montage. They like I said, they all felt meh. My top, I only have one thing that I really want to talk about as top for me, and it's the CGI.
Ooh.
Star Wars is, going above and beyond where Marvel failed. Like even in even in the Marvel movies, which you expect like top-notch CGI. I remember watching Wakanda Forever and seeing some terrible CGI moments where Star Wars, the studios spare no expense with the CGI. The Purgle looked great.
Yeah.
Even I have some issues with Ahsoka on the T6 in space. I'll get to that later, but even that scene looked great. Everything, the Eye of Zion, that's the name of the ship, right?
I think so.
Everything looks incredible, and it's not like you notice bad CGI, and I have not noticed one thing that I would be like, that's not supposed to look like that.
I once saw a green Hulk twerk on the screen, and we accepted it as bad CGI, but we allowed it just through circumstance. But this, you're right. And I think space battle, any ship battle so far since, I'm not counting Book of Boba Fett, but they have stepped up their game when it comes to presentation. And you really get lost. And there were so many different, I just watched I think it's 9.5 minutes of that final act. The whole thing from entering, dropping out of hyperspace to hiding. And then Shin and Marak sort of flying away. And there was like 4 or 5 different background scenes because of what I was doing. I put together a little presentation later. The delay allowed me. The delay allowed me to accomplish this goal that I ran out of time for, and we're going to do it. And I just kept looking at the background, past the faces in the cockpits, and like looking at the background environment, how cool and neat it was just different, but it didn't feel out of place. It felt really great to see that CGI, coming. So I agree with you, man. CGI has been great. Dame?
Yes, I mean, Ahsoka on the T6, I like that a lot. Some of the other space chase stuff was like okay, but not that great. But I did like her, kind of providing that distraction while Sabine was working on the ship. I like that stuff a lot. And like you said, Hu Yang is just like, he's great. He kind of follows that trope of the droid that talks too much, like C3PO, K2SO. And the one quote I had from him was where basically like Sabine's like, according to Hu Yang, you said I'm the worst candidate to be a Jedi out of every Jedi he's ever known. And then Ahsoka's like, you told her that? And he's like, well, it's true. It just keeps going about his business. And like I was, cackling at that. He's been awesome so far. Really awesome addition to the show, and to someone that like I wasn't, I was like, okay, cool, they're gonna have a droid, that makes sense. But he's been so much fun and definitely brings a little bit of levity to some of the heavier moments, some of the more serious moments. So I've really enjoyed him a lot so far on this trip.
And to piggyback off that, some lines that Hu Yang sort of says puts a lot of things in perspective. And again, you have to accept that Hu Yang has been around for what he says is a millennium, right? And what's the math on the millennium, Mike?
1,000 years.
1,000 years, right? So, okay, so he's been around 1,000 years, but we know that Star Wars has been around for more than that. So then we have to sort of agree that maybe he's been put in the service 1,000 years ago, but there could be stuff that happens before Hu Yang, BH, and after Hu Yang. Who knows when that happens? He could still be around for the after sequel trilogy stories. We don't know just yet. He could still be around. But if we accept that he is like C3PO, where he has this protocol memory where, we're literally believing what he's saying, like standard operating procedure. And you're like, of course it is, right? And we believe it because it's a robot and it's programmed. They say it 100 times, programming, right? which means that he's been doing it forever. So if we believe that what he says is true, the fact that the Jedi Order knew that there were intergalactic hyperspace lanes led by star whales, which is new information for the most part, for us. But Hu Yang says it, therefore it must be true. This opens up so much and really actually adds some gravitas to my way-seeking prediction of they are going through time and space somewhere else and will come out at a later date. And it would make more sense now if Hu Yang states the truth that, hey, this is possible. This thing can go astonishing speeds. He says, I've never seen this before. And he's been around for 1,000 years, right? So that's kind of huge when you start, picking at the details and the lines. So I really like, and he is a plot device for us, right? The plot device of Hu Yang sort of, Sabine's just, she would not be a good candidate. And we would go, Luke is. That's great. Was Anakin a great candidate? Technically not. Too old. That's what they said. They trained him and then, he became a lava monster, more or less. And I just really like that they're using him. And then all of a sudden, we get these, between the Purgles and the epic music and this and that whole scene, man, I was entranced. I was all in on what was happening on screen. And then we end with Daddy Balin, and I was like, sugar sticks, man. This episode was wild. Like I just really enjoyed it. And it was at 9:00 at night on Tuesdays Eastern Standard Time. And I love that too. I was not tired watching that this time around. I learned my lesson. I was ready. I was writing notes. We made an adjustment, but yeah, no, I'm super excited. I don't even, what are they're going to be hunted the next episode. Obviously we'll get the way seeking, but everything that they've set up in this very short amount of time, as they say they're complaining, it's too short. I'm good with it. I think it was an appropriate amount of time for what they were trying to do. Like, what else were they going to do? They got to the place that they needed to get to, and now they're stuck. What happens next? I don't think we need 49 minutes to figure that out. I think they did it in an appropriate amount of time. The New Republic is done. That storyline for me is over. Like they've drawn their line in the sand, and that's it. So that's my moments, man. That's for me. That's the best moments of the episode. The Hu Yang as a plot device, intergalactic space travel, and that non-traditional Jedi. I know, Mike, you only had that singular one. Dame, yeah. Do you have any extras to add to us?
I mean, just like a small one, just kind of seeing the Purgles again, I thought was cool. Obviously, like we saw like the shadows of them in Mando, kind of, teasing, seeing them down the road, but just seeing them was kind of cool. Obviously, we know they're a huge part, or going to be playing a huge part in what eventually, I guess, will happen either at the end or at some point during the season. So it was cool to just kind of have that moment of seeing them. And like you said, too, like the CGI on them, obviously these are time traveling space whales, but they look really, really good.
Not as colorful as Rebels, and that's fine. They sort of needed to make them look dark. Just the darkness always helps with CGI, but I don't know if I expected them. And then I saw them, and then you could see us like Ahsoka and Sabine's looks, and they were like, "Yes, this is important." even they were like, and then I love Sabine's line of, "I haven't seen them since Ezra disappeared," and you're like, "This is it. We're doing it, everybody. This is happening. We're doing it. It's a setting up. This is lovely. This is lovely." But top moments really great for me. Mike, we'll have to segue to you because it just sounds like a lot of this show has to possibly go back to the drawing board.
We do not care.
Well, all right, everybody.
I'm gonna hand it over to Mr. Mike. He's tired, so he's already grumpy.
Not everything can be perfect. The Bruins lost to a Panthers team that barely made the playoffs. Leonardo DiCaprio was in a Lil Dicky video. Sometimes you just need to go back to the drawing board.
Mm.
I have two things on the drawing board this week. Sean, I pose my first question to you, being a science lover like myself. How do you feel about Ahsoka defying the laws of science and space and essentially being able to come back down to the ship? Now, on the rewatch, it was kind of at an angle. But if you are jumping at an angle, there's no way she's doing that flip and landing on the wing of the ship. There is no way that is happening. Ahsoka is gone. Should be, at least. What are your thoughts on Ahsoka defying all laws of science and gravity?
Outside of the outstanding black figure that Damien will purchase when it is released as a hot toy in full flip mode, but that would be a great hot toy flip.
Just hanging from the ceiling.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, for sure.
I don't need science to entertain me in this. I don't have any true scientific facts. What I can say is I would imagine the boots were magnetized at some way, shape, or form, but then she's also floating away, so then that confused me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe that is not the case at that point. Another thing that I don't want to hang my hat on because I really despised when seeing this for the first time in The Last Jedi with Leia space witching, using the Force to pull you back to where you need to be is canon. So
I thought Ahsoka was going to use that.
I would have liked if
yeah.
she, like, there was like a wham, and then she propelled forward. I would have accepted it. I didn't like the space Leia scene. I felt like they could have did that a lot differently. Who cares? Let's not get into it. It's not a Last Jedi discourse. I liked The Last Jedi up to 70% of it. That's passing for me. I watched this 3 or 4 times. Here's what I can say. Kate loved it. And that's all I need. When I see Kate going, ooh, it won. The episode won for me, because she's like, she's in space. And I'm like, she is in space. Watch. How is she breathing? And I said, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Don't ask questions. Stop asking questions. Let's just watch what's. But here's the thing. The spaceship exploded, bro. There was sound all over the barrier. Who cares? It doesn't even matter. It was like, I just feel like that was such a classic Ahsoka stunt, right? Do you remember season 7? Okay. She is jumping from ship to ship in atmosphere and propelling herself down as if gravity is irrelevant. And if you really want to stay, you want to get philosophical here. To the Force, gravity is irrelevant in all facets of what environment you're in. I think you are able to manipulate space in a way, not space, but just the space around you, as you see fit with enough discipline and focus. It's not a science answer, but you have to accept it.
I do have to accept it. I could still be angry at it.
You can be, you know what?
Emotional damage.
Yes.
All right. Second thing on the drawing board. Dame,
Yeesh.
you work out.
Sometimes.
Do you ever find yourself on a yoga mat doing some downward dog, some cobra? Ever find yourself in a yoga class?
Yeah, not in a long time, but sometimes I to get the old, now that I'm in my late 30s, the back end of my 30s, those hips don't move the same way they used to. So
They've been telling lies for years. You know what I'm saying?
They're such liars. How do you feel about Ahsoka essentially being a yoga instructor? Or my voice. And my intention.
So that was like I like the whole callback with like, oh, the blast shield, I can't see, like the callback to episode 4, like I get it, but I just thought that kind of was drawn out a little too much. Like, we understand that, like, okay, Ahsoka's gonna give this another shot now. But like it also kind of, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but it kind of seemed like contradicting because like she's training her in these ways, but then she's saying that she doesn't need Sabine to be a Jedi, she needs her to be herself. And like for
With
me,
some
that just kind of,
Jedi-ness.
it was just like kind of, yeah, it was like, well, she's training her this specific way and doing this, but then she's just saying, well, you know, be yourself, or she needs her to be herself. So that, you know, I appreciate the little callback, and you know, there were some good moments in there, but for me, I was just kind of like, okay, it's cool, but yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of all of the training stuff, but I know they had to, you know, fill some time in the episode, obviously reestablish the relationship with Sabine and Ahsoka and that Padawan and, you know, master and apprentice thing. So it wasn't terrible, but I would definitely go to a yoga class if Ahsoka was the instructor for sure.
Question I pose to both of you now.
Can I follow up?
You may follow up.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, a line that was in a top moment for me was, I believe Sabine is our modern person questioning the Force, right? She's a tool right now for the audience saying, well, if everybody has it, why can't everybody use it? Right? That's the question that we ask, right? And usually the answer is something universally vague, right?
Talent has something to do with it. Didn't Ahsoka say that?
What did she say? Talent, yes.
Talent has something to do with it.
Absolutely, talent's a factor. But something that she also said was, that is something you'll have to discover, which is a vague answer. We don't know what that's going to be. You know, just because she can't move stones or cups at this time doesn't mean she can't harness it in her own way. And I think that might be the lesson here is you don't stop trying to compare yourself to what I can do, because you're going to be able to do it your own way when you discover that, whatever that is. You know, Luke, on the other hand, is literally being trained, also has the blood of, you know, Skywalkers. So natural tendencies is fine, and you just got to focus on it a little bit. Sabine doesn't really have that, you know, natural tendency. She's batting right-handed with her hands switched right now. It doesn't make any sense. And I think she's going to figure it out. The question, you know, to follow up, I'll just jump into this now. Do we think Sabine started sensing Yoga Master Ahsoka, or was it more anticipation?
I felt like Sabine was attacking just literally blindly because she couldn't see or sense Ahsoka. And, you know, you get one parry and you can figure out where the person is, but you don't really know where they are.
Yeah.
Or know what their next movement's going to be. That was more just, I thought it was more Sabine just attacking wildly and Ahsoka just defending it easily and messing with her.
Right. And that was they left it very Inception-like, where did she or didn't she anticipate her? They obviously continued, you know, training, and then it went to title screen, and we don't need to see that. But is it, Megan brings up a good point, is it like a muscle at this point where it can be trained little by little over time, which is kind of not what we understood it as. It was more of like, this is a special power that only a certain few people have. But with like Rey, they were like, no, anybody can have it. You don't have to really be part of a bloodline or whatever. And then they messed that up with Rise of Skywalker. But anyways, point is, do we believe Sabine, in the end, will have something, or will she just be a normie? And that's okay too. Would it be okay if she never manifests the Force power?
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that too. Yeah, it wouldn't bother me. I don't think every hero or heroine in the Star Wars universe has to be a Jedi for them to, you know, take care of business. So I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah. And just to hearken to the midichlorian discourse in the chat, Lucas had to put science behind it, so he put science behind it, but I don't think the Force can be scientifically proven, as we've seen in space, as Mike just asked the question. So I think mystery with the Force, I think, is a better story than the midichlorian counts are off the charts. Like, I don't need it to be a database, man. I just like they either have it or they don't, and that's good for me too. And I think we're getting, again, the Jedi Order is gone, so we actually don't care about midichlorian counts at this point. We just care that there's good people out there harnessing this power for good, I guess. Really balancing, for lack of a better idea. So yes, back to you, Mike. Thank you. I just wanted to go off on that sidebar.
So I think my issue, just in general, is with Ahsoka. Where's the sass? Where's the Ahsoka sass? Ahsoka seems like a character now that went to a wellness retreat and now uses essential oils in everything that she does, and I'm not buying it. Hot take here: is Ahsoka the worst character in her own show?
Ooh,
Well, we already know who the best one is. It's Hu Yang.
it's Hu Yang for
Hu Yang.
sure.
And even
Hu Yang got a
Chopper
call.
stole the show.
Chopper's also good.
Yes.
I don't not mind Ahsoka by itself, but I'm also not like an Ahsoka purist. There's probably purists out there that have no intention, or not no intention, but like have no connection with this Ahsoka right now. There is definitely a difference between what we saw in Mando Book of Boba Fett and this Ahsoka, which is it's jarring, because we're so, pun intended, animated with the shows. Like, we're in,
Right.
I don't know what Filoni's angle is here, which leads me actually to a thing that I want to bring up is, when the hell is this happening in relation to Mando? Is it before Moff Gideon or after Moff Gideon? I need to know this answer. This will help me answer some questions, which I don't think they're very clear on right now. I can't get a sense of when this is happening. Yes, I know, like, I believe she's met Grogu, but I also don't know, because she's like, I'm not training you, buddy. And then Sabine's like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, wait, hold on one second. You can't have it both ways here. That's my drawing board right now. It's like, there is no indication of when this is happening, unless I'm an idiot, which I don't think I am. Although I am wearing a Gryffindor shirt on a Star Wars podcast. Makes no sense, but here we are. Here we are. I just don't know when it's happening. And like, people are referencing like, oh yeah, this is like right around chapters 15, 16 of Mandalorian. I'm like, prove it. How do you know this?
Right.
Like, okay, if you want to say, does this pick up, I don't even know the Jedi episode when Mando meets Ahsoka and she battles Morgan. Okay, does it happen at that time? And we are now concurrent. We are running parallel. So we went back in time, so to speak, from Mando. And now we're running parallel to Mando. And then at some point, does Ahsoka go to Luke for advice? How does she find him? When does that happen? When does she meet Grogu? What's going on in the show? I just need to know a little bit about when it happens. And I think that will help us maybe understand Ahsoka's character a little bit better and why she is the way she is, because maybe she is reeling from the PTSD of failing Sabine. She walked away from Anakin, right? Like she said, she walked away from Sabine. Maybe she's trying to break the cycle, but then she walks away from Grogu, and I'm super confused by it. So when does it happen? That's all. That's my biggest drawback right now, is I just don't know when this happens.
Yeah, no clue. No idea. Mando area.
Man, yeah, that's right. It's like, fine, okay, New Republic era, got it. 5 years past, got it. We need more. I need a pinman of a Google map at a location in a precise time. I need a lower thirds immediately when this happens. Please give me lower thirds a la Rogue One. Thank you, Gareth Edwards, for that. I appreciate you. Can I bring up a question back to science, Mike, to you?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. This is the first time I've ever seen turbo lasers hit a target more often without making it explodify. How great are those deflector shields on the T6?
Well, I mean, they got it down to 10%. And then
Listen, we played Rogue Squadrons a lot. And there is no way you're taking on a turbo laser in a starfighter, going full force at it, straight head on, and getting smash attacked over and over and over and over.
Nope. No.
I've never seen a more accurate turbo laser shot in this show.
That
Didn't miss one
game's
time.
so
Maybe
good.
90% accuracy hit rate.
And like they were sensing every direction that the T6 was going. They did not
100%.
They were sensing the intention. There we go, not the direction.
Sensing, yes. Night Sister Witchcraft, indeed. Maybe this is concurrent with season 2. That's what some people in the chat are saying. Scarif and Megan. Maybe. That's fine. I just need a little clarification. That's all. I just want a little. If we have some sort of, I don't need a crossover episode, but I do need like Navarro is liberated on a newscast in the background scene somewhere. Like that's all I need, and then I'll be like, cool. Now we can place this in time. You know, although they do, and that's the interesting thing is that the New Republic does mention, oh yeah, we have Imperial people that are working for us, which again connects to season 3, but doesn't exactly pinpoint us because it sounds like they've been doing that for a while now. So again, good connection New Republic wise, but not great timeline wise. Back to you.
That concludes my drawing board. Unless
Indeed.
anybody has something they want to add to the drawing board.
I don't think so.
I think I'm good.
All right, not too bad on the drawing board. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. You know what? Well, let's get our chatters involved here because I've got a very interesting question. So the question I have, as I copy and paste it into the Jimmy Jam, is this. Here it comes. I'm going to delay just a moment. Here it goes right now. Could intergalactic hyperspace travel be a game changer in the Star Wars universe? Yes or no, and why? In the comments. Yes or no, or why? Could intergalactic hyperspace travel, which are the exact terms that Hu Yang says, be a game changer in the Star Wars universe? That will be scrolling along the bottom for the next 15 to 20 or so minutes. So think about your answers here. All right, don't raise your hand. Like I say to the kids, 7 seconds before you can answer so you can process. We're going to give you more than 7 seconds. We're going to give you 15 minutes because honestly, although this was a short episode, I noticed some things. I bet you did too.
Notice.
That was pretty good production. I got to say that was not bad. We do this live, by the way. I don't prepare like segues and transitions. We do this without regard for practice. In fact, we didn't even prep the show. Usually we do, but somebody was lost in space and we had to find him.
Or just Bucks County. But
whatever. Church of the
Space.
There can be
Same
space
thing.
sometimes.
You were
yeah.
at the Church of the Force, I
There's
believe.
stars and stuff.
Bucks County, space, same thing.
Yes, indeed. Hey, did you know that you could buy a Bakken? Help me. Bakken.
I thought it was Boken.
Okay. You can buy a Bakken saber for $75 on the internet with choice of color, too, if you choose. I was watching it, obviously, with subtitles. Duh. Because I can't hear anything anymore. And, you know, it was like clattering of Bakken sabers. And I'm like, fun word. Gonna write that down. Did a little research, a little searching, and found that they range between like $40 and $75. But those $75 ones looks really nice. Would you buy a Bakken saber?
Why not?
Great answer. Great answer.
Better chance of defending myself with that than a lightsaber that you could buy on the internet.
100%. I believe the Bakken saber would shatter the Galaxy's Edge saber without a problem. We were fighting the other day, me and my daughter. This was a while ago, but we were clashing, like fake clashing. The tip came off of the saber. Cool. Thank you, Disney. I appreciate that.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. Very
Just for a second.
good. Where is it? I changed my soundboard. Thank you right there. Just the tip. Very good. Thank you for your answers. A lot of them are streaming in. I appreciate you. I will star them as we go. Senator Ziono is a dork, and he is also, if you didn't know this, the father of future Kaz from the Resistance. I watched Resistance season 1 and season 2. I clowned on Kaz because Kaz is a clown. Hate him. Think he's possibly the worst main character ever written for a show ever. And I say that with passion and venom, because I do think he was terrible for the show. He was comedic relief, but he was also the star of the show, and that didn't vibe with me. He had no hero qualities whatsoever. He ruined everything and had to clean up his mess every single episode. But what's super curious is our boy Ziono like a First Order loyalist? Because as I was putzing around on the X.com, during the destruction of Hosnian Prime, he is just not present on planet and survives it. So did he know that was going to happen? So he got himself off, or was it a coinky dink? I don't know, but I don't like him. That's what I can say about that.
Yeah, I got weird vibes from him. I was like,
Definitely
not a fan of you.
Yeah.
Indeed. I'll throw it to Mike. What'd you notice?
Did you notice the sex eyes Sabine gave to the cup as she was trying to bring the cup back to her? It was.
Huh?
She gives the cup the F me eyes. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Like, she's trying to bring the cup to her hand, and she looks at the cup, looks it up and down, is like, "What you doing later?"
I see you, P.
Yeah. Ah! It was the strangest thing, because her eyes got low and she kind of made a little face at it. It was
Again, I also think that scene is us attempting to move the cup.
Oh, absolutely.
The peak, no, didn't move.
I feel like my force face would be like me trying to push out a huge turd. Not sex. Like, if I'm trying to move like the tissue box over here, I'm like,
yeah. What is your force face? It's quite different from the O face, I would believe, right?
yeah, pushing out a poop.
Yeah.
That's my force face.
Just not to circle back to the drawing board, I had a problem with how she was sipping from the cup.
Yes.
Was it weird?
She did it like a shot, but it didn't even.
So,
there was no angle to it.
Can I say that was the worst CGI of the episode? And that was real.
She just like threw it into her mouth.
I wasn't a fan. I was not a fan of it.
It was so weird. It was so strange.
I love it. What else?
What else do I have? I have Hu Yang as a sassy bitch.
Yes, he is. Agree.
And I feel like I mentioned this once per series, is that Star Wars loves taking normal names and making them weird.
Okay, give me the one.
Like in Andor, it was Tim with 2 M's. And Hera's son, Jason, Jacen.
Yeah.
Go fly a kite.
So there's a lot of speculation that he's named Jason because of Jason Solo in the Legends books.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a little throwback and callback to when the Rebels was created. But also, it's a C, and that's so Gen Z. I can't even stand it.
Yeah. Jason.
Speaking of Jason, son of Kanan Jarrus.
Yes.
Does not really look like his animated counterpart, which is fine. We'll accept it. Here's what's weird. In the newly released Lego Ghost The hair is not green on Jason at all. It's brown. So I don't know what they're going to do because it's
What
not
is
screen.
happening?
It's not screen accurate, and that's what I noticed in the Lego world. Always bringing in a little bit of brick building to the show, as always. Anything else there, Mikey, or can we throw it to Dame?
There was a cool thing I read going back to the Boken about how it was Lucas's Japanese inspiration, and they called it Zatoichi, was it? And the Japanese where was it? It's a fictional swordsman created by a Japanese novelist, and the name was Zatoichi, I believe. So it was like a nod to Lucas's Japanese inspiration for sword fighting.
I mean, totally getting the dojo vibe. Like,
Yes.
if this
even the music, like the real like, quick like strings had that like a Japanese dual feel.
There were a lot of strings in this episode, but I think the best part was a horny episode, like horny part. Lots of horns during the Purgles, which brings me to subtitles during space battle was epic music playing. I agree. Totally.
I remember. I do my second watch with the subtitles just to get the names. Yeah. It's like either suspenseful music.
Yeah.
Wasn't one like motivating music?
Probably. Yeah. Brooding,
Yes.
sense of danger music, sense of danger. Dame, anything you noticed in this episode?
Yes, so there was the Hu Yang did mention
a lot of Hu Yang talk. I got to get some sound clips from Hu Yang. We got to be able to back this up in production.
Just play all of his stuff, play every line. So he did mention that there was, quote unquote, few Mandalorian Jedi, which I thought was kind of cool. So I don't know if that's planting seeds for maybe some spinoff or maybe we see something.
Yeah.
Because what was it? Vizsla.
I mean, the Darksaber, literally, I mean, that's the historical nature of that. Speaking of which, is the Darksaber still in play or is it destroyed? I need to know the timeline. Damn it. Okay.
I don't know.
Does Hu Yang know about Grogu, Mandalorian Jedi?
What a question. What a question. Hold on one second.
Or Din Grogu, as he goes by now.
Interesting. Hu Yang's memory banks are incomplete if he does not know about Mandalorian Din Grogu Jedi thing. Interesting. Sidebar. Cool. Back to you.
No, all good. So I thought that was interesting. I hope they expand on that at some point. And then also just like the reiteration of anger and how it can lead to the dark side. It can quote unquote like give you a boost in the moment, but to lean on it too much eventually is the pathway to the dark side. Just going back to Yoda and everything else. So I always like when they bring that kind of stuff up, and it comes up, pretty consistently whenever we have something with training. So I like that as well. And that was pretty much the two things that I noticed. And then obviously Jason being in there was kind of cool to see his live action debut. Along with the Purgles, like fully seeing the Purgles this time. So that was just, a few things I liked, appreciated, noticed from this week's episode or part.
Rehashing the Purgles. We first see the Purgles in Mando season 3 when Din Grogu is looking up in hyperspace and sees them, right? So that's sort of if you're not part of Rebels lore, that's your first experience with them. You don't know what they are. You're just like, but that may have been a nice aha moment for a lot of Kaji fans out there going, that seems awfully familiar. You got the whale sounds in space and, whatever. So that's super, super interesting. I've got a few more here. Some we discussed already, some we haven't. The Shin, a lot of Shin action in this episode here. The headset that she wears is literally the same headset that Anakin Skywalker wears in Revenge of the Sith. It's literally, they took it from, they said, hey, we're going to need that headset. And they just put it on her, which I was like, okay, manufacturers probably made the same things, but that's also a long time ago. Like, wouldn't it change over time? Or was it taken from the Jedi starfighters? Is that a modified Jedi starfighter? I don't know. These are good questions that I have. Maybe it's just a callback. Maybe it's nothing. Doesn't matter. But it's not different. It's exactly the same. Go look it up. It's pretty cool.
Her ship was pretty cool too.
Love the ship. Almost bought it at Walmart. Held back. Had to buy snacks for the children first. But I do want the E-Wing. I do want... Now, after seeing that episode, I was like, I'm going to buy that. Have to. And yeah. So just, damn this show. Marketing is great. It's amazing. I would love to be in the fly on the wall in the Lego marketing room. Like, all the secrets to shows. Like, what a nightmare. Like, what's going to happen in these shows already, and you're like not allowed to be like surprised by them.
Or maybe you get like not advanced, like a really, really like a preview of everything before it hits. So like
Quite possibly.
It's like no.
And there's a good chance
alerts.
that answers the Jason hair debacle. Maybe they didn't know who that was, and and it wasn't green. Maybe they post-greenified his hair.
Maybe down the line that becomes like an expensive minifigure because of the inaccuracy.
Yeah, I mean, they've done it before with the Clone Trooper 501st or some. They had the misprinting on the helmets. The nerds were really upset by it, but no one would notice.
So real quick on that though, just from like the toy perspective, this is like me knowing way too much about stupid stuff that will never benefit me in life, except for right now. So
you are the resident Andy. I have that introduction for a reason, buddy.
So a lot of these companies like Hasbro, Lego, they get so like Lucasfilm, Disney, whatever, will give them like a brief outline of something, and like maybe some early concept art, and then they kind of go with that. So when they did the Black Widow movie, they gave them concept art of David Harbour as Red Guardian, but he didn't have like the long beard, the long hair, and everything else. And then they released this action figure, and it looks like they just took like a hopper head from a Stranger Things toy and put it on this. And I'm like, it doesn't even look like him in the trailers. And then like 6 months later, they're like, oh, here's this new one that looks exactly like it does now that we know. So they kind of go off of that. But like you said, that minifigure could be worth something now because they're going to, maybe make another set down the road. And
I'm curious if to wait. I don't know. Yeah, I have the original. I have the OG Ghost Rebels one, which is significantly bigger than this. They've gone really. This is your Lego brick. Every ship since I don't know, a year and a half, it feels, has been scaled down. A bit. Detail work is great. It's more in line with like minifigure scale, I would say, to a point. But I think their goal would be they're more play friendly. They fit in your hand a little better. They're a little easier to build, which I'm not a fan of. But also at the same time, that's why they have the 18-plussers now. Right. If you need that complexity in your life, you go there. But for this, this is a toy, for a building toy for someone, not a display toy like we do. And I just think, but here's what I like about it is if you're like, all right, you bought into this, your display collection is going to be scaled appropriately across, right, the shelf. And it should look really nice versus these TIE fighters look all this different. There's a different shape. Well, not a different shape. They're all the same shape. But like it just feels different, as if like you drug the corner on a window and just made it a little bit bigger or made it a little bit smaller. So just a little bit of a noticement there.
I wonder if this has now become our Lego show. I wonder if that is because they're making those bigger models that are 150. A pop.
I think so.
They're like, if 4 people buy this $40 version of fire spray.
I can't believe
it's more profitable to do it that way than 100 people buying the fire spray at $40 a pop versus
that's such a good point.
8 people buying it at $150 a pop.
I mean, there's clearly metrics they've dove into that make sense. Kids are still like our primary target are kids and teenage and whatever, and that's who's buying them. Now the adults are pausing. I would say the adults are pausing a little bit, going, "Ooh, $350." Like I'm gonna, and they have to start making decisions, and then it turns out to be, I still want the Razor Crest despite it being blown to smithereens. But I don't know if I want the Razor Crest for $550, $600 right now. Like it's not appealing at that price point. But I'll buy the $120 one. No questions asked. I don't need that level of detail unless I want the challenge of the build, and whatever. But maybe one day, maybe if it goes on sale, it won't. I've noticed that Morgan and Shin are not BFFs.
No.
Yep.
And I'm curious about their relationship and whether or not, I'm not going to say love triangle just for the sake of it, but like, what is Balin's relationship to Morgan? And then when did Shin come into the picture, and why are they sort of banging conflict off of each other? Like, oh, they're coming into your sector. Oh, I'm very surprised by this. I thought you would have taken care of them. And then on the converse, I'll get them now. Just like that was very noticeable for me. Like after episode 1,
A lot of tension.
not episode 1, but part 3. Like after first watch, I was like, this is an interesting dynamic, especially since she hired them.
Yeah.
Right, as mercenaries. So what's going on there? Very curious. Very curious. Speaking
Shin's pretty
of,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I need to know the why there, because it's definitely, hopefully it's something good, something with
Yeah.
substance. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that they're technically on the same side, but they don't like each other. But that's kind of the point of a mercenary too. I don't have to like you. I just have to do my job and get paid.
Yeah. It's interesting. Another relationship dynamic. Obviously Balin is at the top.
Yeah. he
Shin
is.
with the Padawan.
Balin is a daddy.
Shin with the Padawan braid. But then like Marok is like the wild card. But Shin's giving Marok orders during this space battle. Form up on my wing, go here, do this as you wish. Like we hear him, vocalize her going. And this is another curious, this sort of adds to the flavor of, is this a clone that is just following orders? Possible. Right? It's very interesting. I don't know. But it just sort of, it stokes the flame of way seeking for me going, Marok is blue. Very curious. I don't know. Question. Do you think the Purgles recognized Sabine in the Force? Are they the same star whales that are in Rebels? I don't know. They're a herd, obviously. They migrate, obviously. Are they the same ones that took the Chimera at the end of Rebels, and did they return? And now they're sort of, doing their thing, and they're about to migrate once again. But I was wondering if they could sense friendliness out of that T6, and sort of providing them that cover that hey, I see an opening. Did she? Or did the Purgles give them that opening to have them escape because they recognized them? I would say Filoni would do something like that. He's always been animal forward with all of his stuff.
Yeah.
Putting a little bit of mystery in the animal and things of that nature. So just things I noticed, questions I put out there in the ether. And then the final thing, I added this late, and this was after watching the episode with my daughter. She talks the entire time. This is why this was fourth watch today. And she made a pop. I mentioned this in the Instagram. She made a pop culture reference that I went, "What are you talking about?" And she had to explain it, of course. And she goes, "Oh," and she's looking at Shin, right? And you see Shin FaceTime Shia or Sia Bangs Shia. We're just gonna go Shia, right?
Shia. Shia.
And yeah, there you go. And she goes, "Oh, she looks like she's from Paddington." And I went, "What? Paddington? What are you talking about?" And I'll have to bring it up I should have prepared this. But I start now, I'm like in my phone, and I discover that Nicole Kidman was in Paddington.
Yes.
Ah.
And this is what Nicole Kidman in Paddington looks like. Oh man, this is amazing. Where is it? Right here.
Yikes.
So my 6-year-old knew way more about this character than I did, because Paddington apparently is a movie she's watched. I've never watched it. And she's like, yeah, that's her. And I said, well, it's not the same actor, but I'm with you, sister friend. I'm with you on that. So I just thought that was super funny.
Apparently, Paddington 2 is amazing.
Oh, damn it. Now
Really?
add it to another movie. Would I watch it? Wee list? I don't know. We'll see. But I do, before we end the noticements, I did want to pay tribute to something. I wanted to pay, not, you're going to think it's going to go Jimmy Buffett. It's not. We're going to pay tribute to what I like to call the Shin Show.
2 and 3, close range and engage. 2-6, with me. Morgan, they're entering your sector. Rock, you almost got them. We have them. I see her. Where are they?
I've never seen something copy and pasted so much in my life than the way she looks in the cockpit of a starfighter. And I just noticed it a lot, and I was like, I got to pull every single one. And that's what I did while we were deciphering the map.
Not one blink.
She didn't blink one time. What is going on here? Which is funny, because Ambrose is geeky, says Shin not blinking adds to the intensity of the character, and 1000%. I am very much intimidated by this lady.
I get
And-
major Wednesday Addams vibes from her.
I totally agree. But did you see the headset? Right, that gold headset going across the forehead and stuff. Super interesting. That is the Shin Show, and that is the noticements. As long as no one else has any.
So watching that clip there, or clips, I did notice that no one plays second fiddle to Sia's bangs.
No,
No one.
Not even that headset.
Nope.
no. I think that was a reference to lyrics, and I didn't get it, so I appreciate.
Just Sia, just the
Just see his
haircut,
bangs.
just the bangs.
Thank you. But
She'll never say Sia bangs.
I would like to see you with your predictions and your way seeking. So let's do that now. All right, so we're getting to the end of this lovely podcast channel live show, and we appreciate everybody for sticking around. And if you cut out early, well, you're missing out on some of the juicy potential that we have with this show. Mike, you said you had some way-seeking ideas earlier in the show, so let's start off with you.
So we obviously know they're going to this other galaxy. You know, the Eye of Sion has the six? I think they said 6 hyperspace hyperdrives,
6 with a 7th being installed, I think.
or the 6th was
3
being
on
installed.
the side, 1 at the bottom. I think that's how I saw it.
So my prediction is that I don't know what Sabine and Ahsoka are going to do. Either they mount to the side of the Eye of Zion, or they hitch a ride with a Purgle. They're all going to end up in this other galaxy. That's obvious, I think.
Yeah.
The Eye of Zion is going to break down to where they can't get back to this galaxy that they're in. And it sets up almost like the subatomic level in Marvel, where the sequel series, you hear nothing about a Sabine, an Ahsoka, a Thrawn, where they're going to have their own world away from the Star Wars world that we know. And they're just going to be over there in that galaxy, setting up all new characters, possibly all new battles, all new wars, all new movies, all new merchandise, all new Lego sets, all the above.
Star Wars plus.
Star Wars plus, yeah. Star Wars subatomic level.
First off, I'm with you on that. It absolutely relates to what I was saying, with just a little bit of it's not happening after sequel trilogy. It's happening concurrent to sequel trilogy for lots of stories, and I'm with you. There was a let's go to the comics. In Star Wars number 34 to 36, don't quote me on it. I'd have to look at the records. There's a small arc. Well, okay. There's a small arc of our characters looking for a lost fleet that has gas for their fleet, right? They are a fledgling rebellion, and they need to find fuel and resources for their ships because obviously the Empire is very big, and we're not quite at Return of the Jedi levels of Armada. So there's rumors of a fleet, and they sort of, I forget how they get there, but the only way to get there was using what they call a path engine. Ooh, a path engine is a hyperspace drive that ships in the High Republic used to jump to specific pre-coordinated random points, not exactly very, very structured. Obviously, hyperspace travel is dangerous, and they have to go down a hyperspace lane, and if any variation to that could lead to destruction of the ship or destruction of others, that's really how the High Republic starts, is a ship gets pulled out of hyperspace and breaks into 47 pieces, and those pieces are still traveling through hyperspace at speed and hitting different planets, and millions of people are dying. And that's really how the High Republic opens. It's actually very, very interesting. Our heroes that we know, Luke, Leia, find a path engine, convenient, High Republic connection, and, go to the coordinates preset in his path engine, and they find the colony that has the gas. But they've been there for 35 years in this place called No Space that you can't get to without a very particular coordinates and engine. Like, so this sort of, that what you said is like reminding me that, hey, they set up their own civilization. They figured out how to live in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people showed up and they said, oh, news are here. Soon you'll be olds because you're actually never getting out of here. There's no way out. There's only in. And I'm like, this is wild. So then they end up, I think that they used a path engine to get out. I think they found their way in, but once you get in, space doesn't let you out. So I was like, wow, that's a really crazy concept for a comic book, but intergalactic space travel, star whales, not out of the question. I love it. And I'd be good with it. A little side shoot off. Mm-hmm. New stories, more stories, maybe Mando joins them, because obviously Mando's not part of the sequel trilogy. You would think.
Yeah.
One would think that someone who is so good would be part of that final. We would think we would see maybe the N1 in the Battle of Exegol, but we sure didn't. Maybe there were N1s. I don't know. That the aggressive nature of all those ships at Exegol really bothered me. We should really go back into the movies and do tops and bottoms. But point is, I agree with you. I think they're going to stow away. I think the T6 is dead in the water. I think they're going to stow away somehow onto the hyperspace ring as a last resort of some. I think, like I said, the New Republic is out at this point. They are not helpful. They're not doing anything. They've closed that chapter of the story. Hera's been great, but she's done. I don't think we're going to get Hera anymore until maybe the end. Next episode is mid, right? It's the middle of the series.
Oh, I thought you were talking
like the term that all the kids say
Gen
these
Z
days.
slang.
Not slangy, okay, but mid. Do we get like a semi cliffhanger next week? Do we get a Morok is identified and they blast away on the Ring of Sion, and like Ahsoka sees who it is, and then boom, they're gone. And now we don't. She sees it, but we didn't see it. And now Ahsoka knows, but we don't know. Is that the cliffhanger? I don't know. Or do they get to the other galaxy? Maybe they travel, and we get a Thrawn sighting, and it cuts, because that's your mid-series sort of cliffhanger. I don't know, possibly,
like that,
but I think
that back of Thrawn shot.
Yeah, exactly, from the trailer, because we've already seen it, right? But why not do it at this point? And then, kind of like how we usually analyze the trailers, when is it when we don't see stuff from trailers at this point? Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff we've seen, especially in this episode, probably, I think it was new. There was a lot of newness to it. Like, I couldn't remember. I didn't really watch a lot of promotion, so I can't speak to it. But Anakin had speaking lines in a trailer spot, and we haven't heard him yet. So is that coming, or was that just hypey stuff? I don't know. But yeah, no, I think you're right on it. I think they're traveling in the next episode, some way, shape, or form, on this hyperspace ring. That is untested.
Space coaster.
That's right. That is untested and big enough to bring a Star Destroyer back, mind you, to this galaxy for sure. For sure. Built specifically, like, that's a scale that can't be wrong. Flying a kite needs certain wind and dimensions and parameters. Apparently that needs to follow science and physics, but Ahsoka does not. Here we go. Dame, your way seeking. If Mike was finished, I think Mike, you were finished with your way seeking.
Okay, so I definitely agree with that too. Because when you think about like how many, like the whole area of the corner of the galaxy that the Skywalker saga is taking place in, and everything we've known so far, like this would just be kind of almost like how the Flash was for James Gunn with DC, like this way to hit refresh to kind of like shake things up and create new opportunities and stories and things like that. And I think it would be good, for a lot of Star Wars fans if they did do something like that as well. And I would like to see that. I think it would be really neat, depending on how they handle it. But I definitely think some sort of time travel, especially with it has to, like with the Purgles, like I think there's going to be something there, whether it's like a Back to the Future type thing, they go back in time. I mean, seems like everyone's doing time now. Like Marvel did time, DC's doing time, Star Wars doing it now. So it seems like time travel is just the thing to do, but it is a convenient way to like, get rid of stuff you didn't necessarily want to, talk about anymore or introduce new ideas.
Yeah.
But I do think that at some point here, and this is kind of going back to your point, Sean, of like, when does this show take place?
Right.
I think we're going to see Mando at some point. I think we're getting a Mando cameo.
Mando camo.
Mando camo. Can't even see it. What's the point? So I definitely think we would get a cameo from him at some point, and that will hopefully put into perspective when this exactly takes place. Because there's just so many unanswered questions as to like where it is, and because we know they're doing a movie with all of these shows tied in, it would be nice to know where this sits in the timeline. So I'm thinking we will see Mando at some point, and then also two more things. So I really hope we see some flashback scenes from like Clone Wars and Rebels, which I know obviously we're getting Hayden, but in live action, obviously, which would be really cool, especially for the Rebels part of that. So I'm hoping we see that, and I really want to see Dengar riding a Purgle. Just would be,
I think
amazing.
With the way we're talking, Dengar is always a possibility. And I don't think people should be scared of the idea of doing I'm not going to call it time travel, because time travel has implications of changing what was before.
Right.
I just think you don't have to change anything. You don't have to kill off the sequel trilogy. I think it's here to stay, but I think this is a way to go around it and move away from it, and also build out the galaxy. Maybe they maybe the Purgles go into some sort of space hibernation, and that loophole is closed at that point. And like it's like C-3PO, and one day they disappeared. We would have to accept it.
Yep.
We don't need
somehow they return.
And then somehow Palpatine returned.
And somehow they woke up.
And exactly. So no, I think it's like I didn't expect this level of excitement, for lack of a better term, time travel and the usage of time and space in a show like this, where I thought I guess I didn't think about how cut and dry this was going to be. I didn't really expect a training of Sabine, but I'm enjoying it. I thought we're going to get to Thrawn. How are we going to get there?
Right.
That's a big hyperspace ring. Things are starting to like clamber together, and I'm like, oh man. Part 4 happens tomorrow, September 5th. Here we go. It's right around the corner. We're talking about it. We're getting hyped for it. Time shifting is an interesting concept. Ambrose, very interesting. The shifting of times, the moving of the sand. We don't have to change anything. Loki is in the time, what do they call it? TW,
TVA.
whatever. TWA. That's an old airline, I believe.
Yeah.
That fun fact, my aunt,
Time Variance Authority.
my aunt worked for TWA. So that's fun. Fun fact about my family. But yeah, a very interesting way-seeking segment, and I thank you for your contributions to it. But as we finish up our episode, being an hour 21 in, let's get our one-sentence summaries to go. Hey, one-sentence summaries. I wrote a haiku.
Cool.
It's not a one-sentence.
Sentence?
Fine. Okay, I wrote a haiku. Tell me when I should go.
Go.
Okay. 575, right? Did I do this right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
575 is correct.
I did finger tap. I finger tapped while writing this, and I went, I gotta use different words. Okay. A haiku. Ahsoka guides Ren. Shin and Morgan no likey. Balin looks badass.
Yep.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. We didn't even speak about Balin,
No.
but how menacing was the final scene?
What, 5 seconds of screen time?
Yeah.
No, it was a good 25 because that was a slow zoom in to Rey. And cut to black. I was like, this episode's about to end. I don't want it to end because
Balin is a daddy.
that is correct.
Yes, he is.
Balin is a daddy. And that was I mean, I forgot Balin was part of it because, you got your cronies doing all the work.
Mhm.
Go hunt them down. We're in for it for the beginning of this episode next in part 4 in just a few. Oh, not in, I would say in just a few hours, but it's not. It's more in like 12. We're a good 12. Are we 12 hours away?
No, we're almost like 24. We're 22 hours
You're
away.
right. It is.
22
Well,
hours
I
away.
was thinking military time. That's not true. I got my math wrong. 22 hours away from part 4's debut. So used to that 3 a.m. time slot. Mike, your one-sentence summary, please.
I went punny. After a slow start, it does feel like something is percolating.
Ooh.
Okay.
I love it.
Nice.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
You got
Okay, Dave.
for one of the segments you have to get maybe for like since we're talking about way seeking like ideas, do time for the pergolator.
If I record myself just saying pergolator, I might be able to replace percolator over pergolator in audio.
It's time for the pergolator. It's time for the pergolator.
I think I could do it. Please remind me. I will try my best.
It's amazing. I love it. All right, mine was just straightforward. So I said after a 1-2 punch, episode 3 was a so-so.
Oh.
I enjoyed it, but like I said earlier, 1 and
Interesting.
2 was just more fun to me. This like there too much training. I thought training was good, but there was just like a lot of it. And it was just, there was a lot of action. It wasn't like there wasn't action, but it just didn't do anything for me like it did in episodes 1 and 2.
It was familiar action.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, get a life. What do you want me to do? Be more excited about it. No, that's fine. You are entitled to your poor opinion of the episode, and we will accept it. But that is our 1 sentence summary. We've got some we've got some answers to the chatters, and the question was, man, that grease horns really hits you. You probably hate that because it's not strings.
How dare you? I love grease.
Name a couple that definitely didn't stay together in the after high school.
Damien.
It would be them for sure. No way. She went to college. He didn't. That's just it. That's the end of the story. Scarif Scuttlebutt Podcast chiming in. Yes, travel to other galaxies can offer us new allies and new adversaries. Yes. Very nice. Meg says yes, because it could lead to travel to Thrawn's homeworld. Ooh, which, correct me if I'm wrong, it's located outside the main Star Wars galaxy. 100% correct, in the unknown regions. For sure. I believe the story, correct me if I'm wrong. Spoiler alert, I'm never wrong. Palpatine sort of explored these unknown regions, but the name of his species is eluding me at this time, but they do not attack you unless you attack them. There are certain wartime rules that they follow. And that's a lot of Thrawn's he got thrown out of their world. He got exiled because he preemptively attacked an aggressor, but they didn't shoot first, but he was able to prove that they were about to, which is like, it sort of gets to his brain of that pre-planning out phase where he's like 4 steps ahead before you're even there. Books are fantastic. You should absolutely read every Thrawn novel. Timothy Zahn does a great job with exploiting the character. It's really great. Ambrose, Disney owns the rights to Escape from New York. Have them travel to Parallel 1997 and recruit Snake Plissken to fight with them.
Yeah.
Guess who didn't get that pop culture reference? Me. Thank you.
That guy.
And finally, not exactly an answer to the question, but something I found very interesting. What if those Mando Ahsoka episodes were supposed to be part of this series?
Interesting.
Interesting. We ponder, and we ponder.
We did it.
We did it. We reached the end of our lovely show here, and we thank everybody for hanging out, chatting with us, sticking with us through the small delay. Thanks, map seekers. But in reality, we would have gotten over at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's pretty good. We are within the 90 minutes of the promised 70-minute show. So I think that's pretty good.
Nice.
Plus or minus 20 for that.
Well, we had to stop to talk about Lego for 20
did.
minutes.
I mean, we did.
Yes.
We did go that route, and I think we're all smarter of it because of that. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this discussion on Ahsoka. As always, if you're watching the live or watching this after the fact, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. My daughter can't say subscribe. Can anybody really say subscribe without messing it up the first time? It's a tough word.
Subscribe. Yep.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on with that word. I just say sub. It's all good. It's not a hoagie. It's a sub. Drop a comment and interact with us on the socials. Just search Extra Star Wars and you'll probably find us. For other content, check out bio.link/extra techie. And for more nerdy content, head on over to bio.link/red5. That is our show, everyone. Damien, great job. Thanks to Kim for putting down the little one tonight. You did it. Mikey, I'm very upset that you're tired because we have to go to work tomorrow and we have to be like energized and on for these children. And it's like so annoying.
Yeah, we do.
But we're back. We're going to have a lot of fun. I thank you very much, everybody, for the show. We're going to get this out on audio soon. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, And come back next time. We'll be back here next week talking about part 4. We hope you enjoyed part 4 coming out September 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, I did make an outro, so we'll see you on the other side.